Hi, welcome to What the Flick. I'm Christy, Matt, Alonzo, and Ben. We're talking about the remake of The Gambler, the 1974 James Caan film. I hear this one is not very good. I did not get to see it. Someone else gets to describe it. You, Alonzo? Yes?
I will, even though at this table I'm not the gambler.
That is true.
So, yeah, it's a remake of a classic 70s film with James Caan, which you can stream on Netflix, and I recommend that you do, because the original is pretty good. This one, not so much. Mark Wahlberg steps in as a literature professor who by night, yeah, I know, that's part of the problem.
It's a comedy?
Yeah. Not intentionally. Who by night is a compulsive gambler, and it goes from bad to worse to even more broke, and check it out.
Birth, education, intelligence.
Just do it.
21.
Talent,
Again.
looks.
Player wins.
I've seen you be $500,000 up.
I've been up $2.5 million. You got me feeling lucky. I'm putting everything on black.
Red's been coming up all night.
You want me to pay you now?
Maybe I enjoy watching the show.
19 red.
What's wrong with you? You got brain damage? You owe money. Two places you shouldn't. Why do you want door number 3?
It's the only way I'll get out.
I've said goodbye before to people I love.
Yeah, whatever did happen to Dad. Let's just deal with this as gentlemen who understand each other, please.
No. I need for us to treat each other like we're not gentlemen and that we're very, very stupid.
All right. What if I told you that I'm not a gambler? I want a real love, a real thing to do every day, and I'd just rather die if I don't get it. Did I just say that out loud?
If I give you this money and you don't pay me back, there are no rules. You understand the gravity of your situation.
I know what I have to do. All or nothing, all the money down.
This is terrible. I want your perspective first.
So I'm the gambler?
You're the expert in these things.
It's really terrible. Okay. It's really bad. First of all, there's no suspense in the gambling. I mean, just in that, like literally, they don't show the cards, like so you don't quite know what little weird choices made very early on when you learn right at the top he's at some private, secretive, high-end gambling club.
My friend Chil Kong plays the blackjack dealer early on.
Okay.
I said he was riveting.
But I mean, we lose the idea of what's even happening there unless you play a lot of blackjack. You don't even know quite what's good or bad at that point in that scene.
Right. I mean, if you know the game, you know that the bets he's making don't necessarily make sense. But if you are a casual blackjack player,
you don't know. I think only one time. I think only one time does he make a dumb. But it doesn't matter. You don't see what the dealer has. It's weird. It's just a weird choice that they eliminate suspense. Like they don't care about the gambling in this movie.
Is that the worst part of it?
I would like to point out of its. No, the worst part of it is that, and I'm curious, totally curious whether you guys agree. This movie has literally no actual screenplay to me. It is a series of incomprehensible and 100% unbelievable speeches. It is one speech after another.
So it's an Aaron Sorkin movie.
Right. But with no connection at all to what's happening.
Yeah, well, the problem with the gambler is the gambler. Like, you don't give a shit about him, and he's so self-destructive that if you don't give a shit about him, you're just watching someone you don't care about make a series of really stupid choices and dig himself further and further into, these emotional and literal holes, basically, of who he owes money to and what danger he's in and blah, blah, blah. They have surrounded him with a really interesting supporting cast, like Jessica Lange plays his mother, and John Goodman is this sort of mysterious...
Michael Williams from The
Wire. From The Wire. Like, a lot of really interesting people. Brie Larson, right?
Brie Larson, yeah, she's lovely.
Yeah, but boy, I just did not give two shits about Mark Wahlberg's character, and I have liked Wahlberg in a lot of movies. I think he's a talented actor, but he's got nothing to play here, and so he's never engaging, and he is not believable as a literature professor.
He's terribly miscast.
James Caan was. James Caan could read Dostoevsky, and you'd buy it because he was working off a script from James Toback, who was Harvard grad, operates in that world.
Massively removed from that movie. Yeah. There's a lot that's in that movie that is not in this.
Right. First of all, I think that Wahlberg and the character he's supposed to be as this literature professor is terribly, terribly miscast because he's never got he never sells what he's talking about, right? And I think that there's a lot of actors you could put into this role who could sell the idea of being a literature professor and sell some of that dialogue.
And be comfortable like in the low life, seamy world of,
Right. This one, he never gets there. And that takes away from it a lot. The gambling stuff is kind of boring. And it should come off almost like a sports movie. One of the problems with this movie is that the surrounding characters kind of have more interesting lives. Like, I want to see a movie with more of the John Goodman character, because John Goodman is this loan shark type who kind of predicts almost every move and everything that's going to happen with Wahlberg's character. And his knowledge is interesting, but you never get why he's taking the risk. You never get what's driving Wahlberg into doing what he's doing. Or if it's an addiction, you never see him really wrestle with that addiction.
I don't think he has an addiction. I think he's just self-destructive, whereas Khan had a gambling addiction. People who have gambling addictions sometimes win. And they have highs where they win and then they like live it up, and then you know they're going to blow all that money, right? But Wahlberg, I mean, I don't think I'm betraying anything here. Wahlberg bets $10,000 on blackjack, wins. He's got $20,000. He bets $20,000. He bets it again. He wins. He's got $40,000. He bets it again. He wins. He's going to keep betting. Well, I got it. We all know at some point you lose everything, including the original $10,000. Then he borrows $50,000 and he bets it until he loses it. That's not a gambling addiction. I mean, I guess it is a gambling addiction, but that's not like the whole point in the original. Khan wanted to win. Khan was attempting to win. Every gambler is hoping that when they bet on a basketball game,
Wahlberg
this is the
comes
game
off like he's like
he wants to lose.
It's this or set the money on fire.
That's right.
Exactly. I was going to say, he does everything but Heath Ledger and just like...
And so then there's no drama in that, well, he'll keep betting until he loses, and I guess he'll win 8 in a row, and then he'll lose the 9th, and then he loses everything. So there's no, so that, again, that means there's, in the end, no tension. And then...
Maybe he's addicted to getting beaten up by gangsters.
No, that might be it. And there's something to that does relate to the first movie, that you, obviously the self-destructive nature of a compulsive gambler and whatever Wahlberg is here, they do share that. But there's some drama always with a compulsive gambler that they might stop at this point. You're like, okay, you owe $85,000, you've now won $90,000. Stop. Pay it off. Yeah. Pay it off. And then you want to start again. Okay, but pay that off, get out of this hole. But all he does is just wait to lose. And that's it's not even remotely interesting. And then there's a suggestion at the end of the movie, and I'll say this without giving it away, that maybe he never was. I don't. But again, it's a speech. I don't even know. I don't even know what he's talking about.
I mean, if you're going to do a movie about addiction, probably one of the best versions of that is Leaving Las Vegas, right? You don't. Yes, this level of self-destruction, like he even seems casual and kind of a dilettante in that, like, well, I'm just going to experiment with fucking my life up, right? Or he doesn't have the skills. He doesn't show the skills of a gambler, where you kind of almost expect, something like Rounders, where everybody says, "Oh, don't do this. You can't beat the game."
That's a gambling
right?
addict. Ed Norton's a gambling addict.
Right. Ed Norton is an addict because you see with Norton that he's addicted to that thrill, and you've got Damon's character who says, "No, look, like I can actually beat this." That's a great movie about gambling. This one is just like. I felt like this was Mark Wahlberg had some interesting speeches he wanted to do.
Well, but it's really about the self-destructiveness, because even to the point where he will take this money from his mother, knowing that basically, like, she is done with him if he ever has to come back to her again, and fritters that away too.
And fritters it away, again, without any hope of winning. Like, maybe I'm remembering it wrong, but in the similar situation in the original Gambler, like, when Khan loses that money, he's trying to double up on it. He's trying to take this money. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take the money Mom gave me to get out of debt, and I'm going to win a bunch first, and then I'm going to get out of the debt.
So you're going to pay her back and pay them back.
And pay everybody back, and then maybe make a little for herself. That's the kind of manic, crazy thinking that a gambler would go through, not I'm just going to take this money and wait 27 minutes until I freaking lose it all so that somebody can knife me or whatever.
And the weird thing that this movie does, too, is you keep seeing him be this self-destructive, and then in the third act, it almost turns into, it's got the rhythm of a heist movie. Right, like he's doing all these little bits and pieces, and they all start to fall into place, and you have this moment like you would see in a well-done heist movie, like, oh, maybe he's been planning this all along. But nothing in the first half of that movie justifies that at all, and you don't start getting anything even approaching tension until that part of the movie.
And then there's a basketball thing that goes on. It's also in the original that's supposed to be tense, but it isn't, because that character was not credible in any way, shape, or form. And then Brie Larson, who I thought was really good and is interesting looking and was good as his student / love interest. She behaves when seeing his manic craziness as no one would.
Right.
Like I get it that she might be understanding to a degree, might even be sympathetic to a degree, but he's not a compulsive gambler. He's just a crazy person, and the outcome is obvious. And again, what happens to them in the end, if you've seen the original, is a very different scenario. And what happened in the first one is a much better, more realistic, plausible outcome.
In a nutshell, the original film, they fly from New York to Vegas, and in this movie, they drive from LA to Morongo Casino.
Oh, it takes place at Morongo?
Part of it does,
That's not sexy or exciting.
No, not at all.
Fantasy Springs.
Yeah, this
And
movie.
they go outlet shopping. That's what happens.
There's no parking. They keep circling around.
Right.
Do you think this would have been any better
Some
with a
Van
different?
Heusen shirts.
Oh my gosh. So what are your numbers then? What are your terribly low numbers then?
2.8. It's really bad. Really bad.
4.3, and I'm feeling generous.
Yeah.
All right, Matt Atchity.
Yeah, 2.5.
All right, 3.2. I want to go outlet shopping now. This is what my takeaway from your review. So
Okay, Alonzo explained this away, but very quickly. There are two movies called The Gambler. One in 2014, one in 1974. Neither of them includes the Kenny Rogers song, The Gambler. I get it. The first one predated it. Doesn't matter. That seems wrong. That seems wrong.
There are like 3 TV movies, I think, called Kenny Rogers, The Gambler.
I take this from a 2.8 to a 5.8, just if they had the song.
What's the movie with Philip Seymour Hoffman?
Really
Oni
good.
Mahoney.
Oni
Mahoney. That's the better movie to watch about a gambling
Rounders is
addiction.
also great. But
All right, so 3.2 is the average here. It's really high on the tomato meter, right?
Yeah,
Weirdly.
65% right now.
Even if this isn't a movie about addiction, if somebody tries to claim, oh, it's not a movie about addiction, it's still not interesting.
Not interesting.
Bye.